everybody. My name is Peter Piszczek and I am from Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava, and I would like to welcome you on this webinar, Security in Android. So what will be the webinar about? In the beginning, I will tell you some brief introduction about our project in interactive manufacturing for schools, then some short notices about Google and Android. In the first part, we will talk about our data which are stored in online space, in this case by Google. And the next part is focused on data forensic analysis of a smartphone with Android. These two parts will be enhanced by some useful hands-on, and at the end there will be a conclusion. Now I am going to show you a short video about our project. So, what is EIT manufacturing? European Institute of Innovation and Technology is focused on manufacturing. It's trying to connect the business, education, and research to create some positive momentum. And the vision is that Europe is a place of origin for innovation. The aim is to create innovative ecosystem among European countries. And because we take care about environment, social aspects, and protection of consumers more than other developed economies or developed countries. As you can see on the left side of the slide, these pictures are more rare in Europe than in the other part of the world because it's some kind of old industry. Yes, you understand. It's more. It doesn't take care about environment. It's more heavy, more dirty, and so on. But thanks to industrial revolution, we are now in the fourth stage, which tries to add some intelligent aspects to the industry to create industry which is more cleaner, more automatic, and create more added value. And with our project, manufacturing for schools, we try to uh, establish some platform for experience exchange to make technical education more attractive. It's oriented on industry, and we try to support value creation in individual European Union countries. And the end, the final goal, the more people in technical and scientific fields, the better research, in this case in Slovakia, but of course if you are from other countries, this is also applicable to you. About our project, the main leader is Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava. Other partners are from University of Tartu in Estonia, University of Patras in Greece, and company Spina from Slovakia. And our project is focused on webinars and workshops. So this is not the only webinar. This project you can watch our other webinars, or you can attend other workshops which are created by this project. Now we are going to talk in short about Google and Android. Everybody, I think, knows Google. They have some well-known products like Gmail, Photos, YouTube, Drive, Documents, Android, and so on. Basically, these products are free. So where does the profit come from? Of course, you can pay for some special packages, for example, with a higher amount of storage for your photos or for your G Drive. but not many people use this feature. So Google collects our data and then it tries to create some targeted ads which are served to us. And the some well-known quote: "If something is free, then usually the user is the product." Uh, but thanks to European Union, we are part of the European Union. If data is collected somewhere, we can look at it. So we can use this information also as evidence to the investigation. Um, if we are going to focus more on smartphones, then there is some necessity to compare smartphones versus computers. Smartphones are made of lots of different hardware. For example, different type of screens, different sensor modules like GPS, different types of processors, and so on. Um, Compared to computers, we uh, replace smartphones more frequent, more often, because of the damage, or because of loss, or it's less cool if you don't have the newest kind of big smartphone. You are basically a loser. So there are different inspiration for changing a smartphone. And of course, the other part, the software, there are frequent software changes, like major OS update of operating systems. And in the case of Android, there was also a switch from one type of executable application to the other type. You know it from, for example, Windows. Exe extension uh, is used to uh, uh, is used by executable applications. As you can see here, in case of Android, there were more than 17 versions during past 12 years. And in case of Microsoft, for example, with Windows, I think there was about six versions in the past 20 years for desktop computers. I don't count server operation systems. So as you can see, there are more major updates of operating system on Android. And what is Android? It's a free operating system for mobile devices, which monitors a lot of user activity. But don't be afraid, iOS is no different in this case, and not all monitoring is bad on the front side. To this time, we are basically happy if operating system is monitoring us because it can help us with some activities which we are doing with this smartphone. For example, um, if I'm trying to search something on internet, then add uh, Google add the rest of the text, uh, so it will help me to create proper search requests. And because it monitors lots of our activities, there is possibility for lots of evidence. And there are basically two cases. First, if Android is used in the industry, because also this project is focused on industry, the sensors, the Android can be used to monitor some sensors arrays or sensor networks. Android can be used for factory management and statistics, like tablet or something like this. Uh, from Android, we can extract some sensitive data in case of industry espionage. The device could be tested, and the device can start to behave strange in case of, for example, malware which is installed on the smartphone. The other case is personal. For example, I love my phone and I want to find it. I left my phone unattended and I don't know what happened or something really basic. My brother and sister use my phone and they start to laugh uh, more and more, and I don't know why. So I want to know what they do with my phone. Did they search my through my pictures, or they change my settings and or something like this. So now we are going to investigation. We will be focusing on the right side of the slide because this is webinar and there is no place to play with hardware. And if you will be interested in this topic, I will recommend you to get to know the autopsy application, which is used for forensic analysis. But the begin at the first moment, but at this moment we will going to look on online data from Google. Uh, okay, uh, Google collects data about us. It's well known. So uh, in which case we can use this online data. For example, if getting into the cell phone is beyond our capabilities. For example, we need password uh, to the screen, or we need to extract the memory chip. We simply don't have a phone because it was stolen or it was lost. Or we can use this data as a zero round of investigation. Or in some cases, we don't want the suspect to know he's under investigation. Um, but in all of these cases, we must know login and password to the Gmail account. Without it, we can't use this online data. And where can we find this data? Uh, Online activity tracking could be found on myactivitygoogle.com/myactivity, and some package for offline analysis could be found on takeout.google.com. Required software for analysis for this webinar is web browser, Mbox, which can be downloaded here, text editor, or like Notepad, but I would recommend to you Notepad++, which could be downloaded here. Okay, what can we find there? I will show you one package of this information. As you can see, it's almost 100 megabytes. It's a small package because we use this phone for a short period, and if you use your phone for a long time, it could be more than several gigabytes. Okay, and basically it's a website with several folders with additional files which could be used in the investigation. For example, photos, and I would like to apologize because this web page and also these files and folders are in Slovak language, but I hope you will understand the difference. So, for example, in photo, we have the pictures and some JSON. What is JSON? Mm, you don't need to know. Uh, you don't need to know for in this webinar. Yeah. So the JSON contains some additional information. For example, the name of the photo, the picture, and the timestamp in Unix time and also in UTC time. and there are also GPS coordinates, latitude and longitude. But in some cases, for example, when you take a picture in the building or some underground spaces, there is no GPS signal, so you will not found you will not find latitude and longitude. Okay, then in the content of this web page, you can see photos, uh, some Chrome activities, and I will show you the example. Uh, from this web page, sometimes you can redirect to the other web page, but there is a list of the files which was generated for this special activity, in this case for Google Chrome. I can show you the browser history. And in this JSON, and you can see the web pages which were visited by the user. If he clicked on the link, if he if it was generated by the Chrome, or if it was typed by the user. There is also time in a Unix format, and alien ID, and of course the URL. Okay, in the next part, I can show you some examples from Google Play, and we can see that there are five files generated for the Google Play. So when we go to the Google Play Store, we can be interested if this is the only device the user possesses, because it could be more useful for our investigation. So in this case, you can see that there is only one device. And if we try to Google this, it will be Sony Xperia Z3 Compact. And we can see there is only one smartphone used by this user. So it's great, because everything what we find here is connected directly to this smartphone, or to the online use of this account. For example, on the computer, when I will use Google Chrome to access Gmail and so on, these activities are also stored in this package. There is also a JSON with install, and I can find here all applications which are installed on this device, because we know that user use only one device, Sony Xperia. You can see the name in the mobile of the application, and of course the time of first installation and the last update. I can scroll down, for example, to Google Chrome, for which model, last time when the Google Chrome was updated, and so on. There are also useful information if you want to, for example, find out if he was using some Bitcoin wallet or something like this, because he was getting ransom to this wallet. Okay. Now we have email, we just exported to one file, .mbox, which could be opened by mbox application. I will show you the mbox viewer. If the user only only move the messages to the recycle bin, then you can find also the deleted messages uh, in this file. You can find all attachments, all mails, which you can also find when you connect to gmail.com. So yeah, yeah. Um, Now, and we can see all emails, including emails created in HTML. For example, here there are some pictures from interest and so on. And I can try to filter a special email address if it use some attachment and so on. Then we can look into a profile of a user. So we want to know more about him or her. As you can see, the name of the user is in English forensic analysis with this male, and he is a male. So you can see that in a normal case, I will see here the first name, the family name, and so on. I will know the user better. And in this web, we can find more information in activities. Which is divided into several folders. For example, I can also look to the Google Chrome, and I am going to see some web pages which were visited by the user with the time. As you can remember from the JSON, there was time only in Unix format, but it is in a readable format for the people, for the people. Okay, and for example, in Maps, I can see other activities. Sometimes I can click on the link, for example, in this case, and I see what the user saw in the past. So he was looking on this part of the world, which is Bratislava. Or I can look for this specific restaurant, probably some restaurant which is somewhere, and I will find out where by clicking on this link. I can also look on searching, and I am seeing now what search request user typed in Chrome or in Android. And of course, there is also YouTube or advertisements. You will tell yourself that what kind of information could be found in YouTube folder. Uh, Basically, usually it is music taste of the user, and but in some cases in the past, um, there were also uh, some um, uh, some useful information. For example, Al Qaeda used videos with some encrypted, with some hidden text on pictures and messages about their projects, about future projects, and best practices. So it was used also in the past to It is sometimes useful to analyze also watch videos in the car. So that's about this this package, which could be downloaded from the web pages which I showed you on previous slide. Now to we are going back to the presentation. So what can we find on the smartphone? And as I was talking previously, the user profile and information about it, applications and devices could be found on Google Play. You can find it here, user's calendar, Google Classroom, for example. Nowadays, during the COVID era, more students use Google Classroom. We can find information about videos, maps, street view, of course, images, documents on G Drive, or emails, EPUB, Hangouts, Google Meet. If you use wearables, also some information from Google Fit, and at the end, the most useful source of information in nowadays, the web browser, Google Chrome. Okay, now we are going to move to image of the smartphone. Okay, what is smartphone image? So when we have some suspicious device or operating system, usually we interact with it as little as possible, but we want to investigate it. So we make a copy and we investigate this copy as much as we want. We usually follow some special procedures. For example, during making a copy of a hard drive from a computer, we connect this hard drive to a special device which forbids writing operations on this disk. Uh, it only allows reading operations, so no data are modified. In this case, we use something like this, but this is a screenshot from the iPhone. So we use something similar for Android or terminal console, and we create a software image from the Android. And in case of forensic analysis, or in case of analysis, in case of analysis, we can use the same term: image, copy, and clone. All of these means the same. We create some special type of image of the device, of all the data in the devices, usually including deleted files. Basic investigation procedures, which we have to take care. Uh, we have to maintain integrity of the evidence, so the evidence is not modified. Then, whatever we do with the device or with the image or with the operating system, the other part must be able to repeat it. In case of court, both sides, when they have the same image and uh, um, when they follow the same procedures, the result must be the same. So we create forensic image. That means we only read the data, we don't modify it, and this image is used in the investigation. Nowadays, there is a lot of noise uh, past, compared to the past because the memories are bigger and bigger. Nowadays, on computers, we can have more than several terabytes of disk capacity. And in case of smartphone, we can have about 200 gigabytes and more nowadays. And during the investigation, we have to be cautious because not only the integrity of the evidence and so on, but also in case of we are investigating, for example, something in a hospital or in nuclear power plant or something like this. So we are investigating, but for example, the computer crash immediately, and the problem is that we have to solve another type of problem. For example, sudden death of patients, so nuclear plant malfunction, and so on. So when we have the image, what can we find in the smartphone? First of all, operating system Android and its application, then device manufacturer application, for example, from Samsung, Sony, Xiaomi, Lenovo, and so on. Applications from our network operator or carrier, for example, Verizon, Telecom, Orange, O2, and so on. And the user applications and log. User applications with the data, for example, SMS, MMS, backups, emails, pictures, videos, browser history, social media, and so on and so on. So there are plenty source of data. Uh, where can I find it all? Uh, I will show you some examples. For example, applications could be found in folder data, and here is and here are all applications which are installed on the smartphone, but they use different name. For example, if you know application Pinterest, then this folder is named by as com.pinterest and so on. So many applications usually use com dot and the rest of the name. Then I can find application settings usually in the name of the application and in the subfolder shared preference. And usually in the subfolder database, there is also SQL database, in this case, SQLite. If you don't know what is database or what is SQL, it's okay for this webinar. You don't need to know this. And I can find several system settings in data/system and users and their statistics in data system usage stats and data system users. For example, in data system usage stats, I can find 0.xml, and I can find here that the user is Yoshko. His first name is Yoshko. If you will be more interested in this topic, don't hesitate to visit this webpage where you can find more location of useful information, not only in Android but also in iOS. In the next part, I will show you some examples of data stored in Android, time zone and locality, user and the settings, applications, networks, in this case Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, recent activity of the user, contacts, SMS, MMS, mobile networks, web browsers, photos, and specific application analysis at the end. So at the beginning, I want to know the time zone of the smartphone, so I can map the times in times uh, in the metadata in the smartphone to real time, for example, in my time zone. So time zone can be found in subfolder property and in subfolder persists this time zone. In this part of the presentation, the slides will be full of the path or links to the files, databases, and so on. It is here because the end, if you would like to investigate the image by yourself, you can find the information here on this slide. So when I open this file, I can find here that the time zone for the smartphone is Europe and Brussels. So it's the time zone for the for the biggest part of the Europe, and then I can try to narrow this by looking to other sources of information. For example, to widgets for weather. In my case, I can find that the smartphone was used in Bratislava. And when I look to the other file for this weather widget, I can find URLs which surely have Bratislava in them. So I can confirm that the user was in Bratislava. And in the previous file, I can find that access right use my location is set to false. So this is the only location which is set. So probably the only location or the location where the user is for the most of his or her time. As mentioned before, I told you about time in Unix format. So for those cases, please use this web page to convert Unix time to user readable time format. There are several user information which could be found in 0.xml, as I showed you before. It's Joshko, and also in SQL database account DB. So in the account DB, I will show you what this is in here. In table account, there are accounts used by this user. For Google.com, I can see that he was using Duolingo, Facebook Messenger, and Microsoft Office. So I can see his or her other accounts. There are also global settings, security settings, and system settings. I will not show you these systems because they are huge with plenty of settings, but you can find here basically everything from your ringtone to the name of your device on a Bluetooth network. And the other interesting part is accounts.xml, because in this file I can find accounts which are used for synchronization. For example, the user for his calendar uses this Gmail account. So I know where can the other information be found. Then we move to recent activity. It's interesting part of the smartphone investigation because we can find recent images which are connected to recent stuff of the smartphone. These recent images in subfolder system represents some images which were on the screen when a user uh, switch the screen to the other application. So I can see that he was watching some probably YouTube video with this name. Just remember 684. We are going to recent task where we can find 684 also. So we look at this file and we can see that yes, it's YouTube, and this number represents number of the recent task which was run by the user. Okay. Then in this case, I'm so sorry, but in our smartphone we didn't use SIM card, so this part is a little bit shorter, but I can show you that information about contacts, about SMS, MMS, recent calls, and so on could be found in several databases, in contacts too, in table accounts, and I can see that there are no phone contacts in this smartphone, but the user use these mails for synchronizing this this contact his contact list on the web page. In a table, in a database MMS SMS, in table SMS, I can find all SMS which were stored in this smartphone. In this case, there is none because we don't use any SIM card as I mentioned. But I will find this information about all messages. I can see these messages also in PDF format, which is the basic format for SMS. Okay, and in case of SIM card info, I can look to the table telephony and database telephony and table SIM info. And again, if I used any SIM card, there will be some information about it. Next, the also interesting part is applications. Installed application could be found in a database library. So I will open this database in table ownership, and I can see here lots of applications and the time of the purchase or basic installation if the application is for free, and hashes and which user installed this application. But this database is not as precise as it could be or as you would expect, because if you use several smartphones in times with the same account and you use different application on each smartphone, in this database you will find all applications from all smartphones which are connected to this account. And the other disadvantage is that if you use several accounts on one smartphone, or basically if there are several users and each user use his or her account on the smartphone, also all accounts will have all applications which are stored or installed in the smartphone. Okay, and if we want to investigate, for example, malware or something like this, we can be interested in access right of different applications. I can find it on different places. For example, in xgis.xml, I will try to find application Strava, and I can see here that application Strava uses this type of permission. As you can see, granted is set to true. And for example, uh, it could connect to Bluetooth, internet, billing, so I can buy something in this application and so on. And I can investigate basically all applications which are stored in the smartphone. There are other sources of information for application. For example, access rights could be also found in apps.xml, and notifications which were generated by this application could be found in database notification underscore log. The next part, which is also interested, is network connection, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So I want to know what type of devices were connected to this smartphone. I can investigate Bluetooth devices. So I can see here that there was used that the smartphone was connected to My Band 2, JBL Go, and JBL Charge. There are some information about this connection. For example, timestamp, which is also in Unix time format, so you need to convert it to read it properly. And this time is the first time of the connection of the device. And at the beginning of this file, I can see that my device is named Xperia Z3 Compact for Bluetooth network. And in the next part for Wi-Fi, in this file, I can find name of the networks and the passwords for these networks in unencrypted plain text. So when we look here, I can see SSID and the password in plain text format. What can I find in this file? For example, if the user use the airports, because usually there are nowadays there is usually free access to wireless network on each airport. For example, I can see that evidently this user was in Vienna airport, and so on. I can use this to track the location of the user in time. For example, in the pubs, restaurants, public transportation, the airports, and so on. Then the web browser. Most information are usually stored in here in nowadays because we use the browser on daily basis to use it to connect to other accounts, services, and so on. And in the base history, there are several tables which are useful. For example, in downloads, I can find the files which were downloaded in this smartphone, uh, where they were downloaded, start time, how big they were, end time of the download, allows access to them, and from which pages, from the main page and the specific link where they were downloaded. Uh, of course, I can find searches which were typed in Google Chrome, and here are some searches from this smartphone. And in the table URL, I can find visited web pages with their title, how many times they were visited, and so on. The last visit time. So there are lots of information in the browser. This is only the top of the iceberg. Then we are going to look to the file system. So in data, media, sorry, in the subfolder 0 and subfolder listing. In the subfolder 100 Andro, I can find all photos which were taken by this smartphone. Okay, what is the difference between the package which I download from the Google and this subfolder? The difference is that here I can find all photos which are locally stored in the smartphone, and in the previous part of the presentation, the photos were synchronized with the Google account, so there could be some difference. And if I want to know something more about the photographs, I can look to this database, gphotos0.db, and in here there are plenty of tables, but I will show you only two of them. Local media, which have all photographs taken by the smartphone, the file name of the photograph, the UTC time, time zone, size of the photograph, and so on. If GPS coordinates were available, then I can find latitude and longitude here, and so on, and the destination folder, of course. And the other table, which could be useful during the investigation, is shared media. In this case, I can see there are less photos stored in this table because this table consists of photos which were shared with other users. For example, I can see that these photos are shared. So if, for example, DSC15 is some kind of photo from the company, from the laboratory with sensitive information, this could be possible a leak of the information to and it could be, and this can be used in industrial espionage. Okay, and at the end of this hands-on, there are several applications which are usually investigated separately. For example, applications that measure user physical activity like Strava and the model pedometer. They can confirm or refute users or suspect alibi. For example, if a suspect tells us that he was at home during this day, and we will find in pedometer.db that the user, for example, takes more than 10,000 steps. It's basically impossible to take this number of steps in the home. So I can find here a lot of useful information. Which hour, how many steps, okay, calories, I don't care, and the distance. And other parameters, but I can confirm or refute user suspect alibi, which is truly useful during the investigation. And the whole other part for the different presentations could be social media apps or instant messaging apps like WhatsApp, Threema, Messenger, Facebook, and so on. They can also be investigated, and we can uh, try to get the data from them, the messages which were uh, shared between the users. So here is the conclusion of our presentation. Now I hope you know where to find the user's activity on the Google, how to download all the data about yourself or about other users, and what type of data are stored in here. Mm, and we also uh, explain how to investigate smartphone in really few slides. So it's a basic type of investigation, and I prepare some tasks for you to solve. The task could be found can be found on these links. Uh, so please try it, and if you solve something, please tell us your answers. So what next? If it doesn't end with this webinar, you can also watch our other webinars on this webpage, and you can try to solve or mention prepared stuff. So thank you for your attention. I'm glad that you watched this webinar. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write me on this email address or visit us on Facebook on this webpage. Thank you. Bye bye.